What's up, Black Sheep, and welcome back to a new video. My name's Roshni. I'm a tarot reader, self-worth coach, and the founder of Black Sheep Experience, where we talk about creating your own life and identity and worthiness after your childhood. So today, I'm not really sure what the direction of this reading is. I actually was in Seattle this last week and I had just such a good time of being able to clear my mind, and I wasn't really on my phone at all. I really wasn't posting much of my trip either, and it was so refreshing. I didn't even realize how out of my head I was until I came back. And on the airplane back, I started going online and catching up, and I saw all the news about LA and just all the news, everything came at me at once, and I was just sitting there scrolling for a couple hours just on public transportation, what is going on, and I kind of went into a spiral after that, where I was doubting myself and thinking well, I have to record a reading soon, it's so frivolous that I'm doing this and there's more important things. But the thing is, my work has always been political, but that's not why I bring this up. What I am sharing this for is because it came to my feeling that a lot of you have also been doubting yourselves or doubting the work that you're doing. And as I was starting to channel, I wasn't channeling the message itself, but I felt what is the point of this, And something that Spirit told me even in that moment was your community and the people that you have artists and activists and cycle breakers and just incredible people in this community who all are serving something bigger than themselves, but we all struggle with self-doubt and we all struggle with self-worth and just feeling there's a reason why we do things all the time, right? Or our work matters, our work has purpose. And even if you are an activist and you're working on more important on the ground type of things, we can still doubt ourselves, we can still lose hope, we can still see so much chaos and anger and suffering and frustration and just feel helpless, right? And so the message, like I said, it hasn't come to me yet, and we're gonna get into it right now together, but I wanted to kind of share that intro in this, that the intention for this message is almost to be the drink, what's it called, a watering hole, a drinking hole, where all the animals come together and drink water, and it's kind of agreed upon that they don't argue. It's not so much that it's arguing, but it's we are all people on our different missions. We're all here doing different things and being of service and being of purpose. And I know that about you, right? Whether it's through your art or it's through your activism or it's through your voice or your writing, you are here for a reason, and not just here, but on earth, you are living your life for a purpose. And even if that purpose is cycle breaking and breaking these cycles in your family, and you don't have an art form or something that you're trying to make happen, that is still a massive, massive deal. And it's also something that you can feel helpless around, or feel am I ever gonna leave this house? Am I ever gonna leave these toxic relationships? Am I ever gonna be set free inside and reclaim my power, right? So that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about today. And I wanted the intention of this for us to all be people who have our different purposes and our different journeys, but we can come here to kind of fill our cup, right? We can come here to take a minute and recenter ourselves and remember why we're doing this. So I'm starting to shuffle, and Spirit, what do you want us to know? What do we need to know right now? Okay, I got the 8 of Cups. Okay, so I got the 8 of Cups, the 8 of Wands. I also got the 5 of Pentacles and the Ace of Cups. And this is so interesting because actually these two cards are literally what I was talking about in my intro. This feeling of doubting ourselves and doubting. I'm hearing this as partially doubting yourself and partially doubting the work that you're doing. And something that is kind of coming up is someone telling you that your work is important, or you getting feedback from the world that your work is important, and you've been waiting for that for so long, but then when you get that, you're like, oh no, it can't be. Or like, yeah, maybe it helped this one person, but it's not going to help anyone else. Or like there's something about like you downplaying what you're doing, and there's like a reason for that. There's some sort of like safety mechanism that you need or that you're connected to, um that requires you to suppress your gifts. And a lot of this is also connected to just like a fear of success, or a fear of like really putting yourself out there and what that means. And if you're gonna like fumble or like choke in the spotlight, or something important's gonna happen and you're gonna like chicken out, like there's some sort of like doubt around that coming up. But then also the Ace of Cups, and what I said about like this being kind of like the meeting area, right, where we all come back to fill our cups. I'm seeing that that's actually related to this Eight of Cups here. This, we just had a full moon yesterday. It was a strawberry full moon, but I feel like there was such an intention around this time period of like fully letting go. And like you, like we have been going over and over and over our harmful cycles in the last few months, and a lot of you have been feeling like, why am I kind of in a loop? Or even if things are moving forward, you're like, I keep confronting the same things, but it's also coming with more clarity. Like now you're like, okay, I see where it's all connected. I see my role in this, right? That's actually come up in some of the other recent collective readings I've done, where you are seeing a mirror, but before it was like smoke and mirrors. It was like hazy and fuzzy and you couldn't really see. So you wanted to reflect, or maybe you had the intention of wanting to like understand why you do something, but then you kept getting caught up. You kept getting like, why do I not see exactly what this is? And part of you maybe was afraid to look, and maybe also the timing wasn't quite right, or more things had to fall into place. And now you're able to see so clearly your own patterns of how you get in your own way. And so that's a huge gift, because now you can see like, okay, now I know what I need to walk away from. Now I can see that it's my doubt itself that's getting in the way and that's stopping me from accomplishing what I want to do. Or it's me convincing myself that I'm lonely, or me convincing myself that I don't have support, or I don't have anyone around me, or that people don't genuinely care. Like there's such a big connection here to feeling like being able to recognize how these thoughts in the back of your head are genuinely impacting you and making you jump to conclusions that weren't even there. And something that was so interesting that actually came up today is I was seeing someone in like a group that I'm in, and they had been doing so much extra work, right? And I'm like very new and very kind of loosely like connected to this group, so I'm not like a big part of it yet or anything like that. So I'm kind of like, you know, looking on the outside, like looking in a little bit. And I saw this like main person carry so much weight and do so much for everyone. And they finally were like, you know, they weren't upset about it or resentful. They were just like, hey, I need some help like balancing these things, because I just don't have the time. Like I just can't do it all. And I was just thinking to myself, like if I was like in my wounded like energy and that this was happening to me, I might have already told myself that no one cares about me. I might have always already told myself, like, of course you don't have support. No one actually cares. No one sees the work that you're doing. No one sees you. No one cares about you. No one's going to step in to help you. And I was just thinking about like looking at this person and seeing how they handled so much with so much grace. And it's not that I wouldn't do that now, but I could see myself so easily jumping to conclusions if I would have been in their shoes. And I've been becoming more and more aware of that over the last few years, but even like maybe not even in that particular example, but in these different ways of like looking at my own limiting beliefs, I have seen so clearly how I'm creating that, or adding more drama to my life than needs to be there. And not even in terms of like confrontations or relationships, but just in my own head, right? Me assuming things about other people or what they mean when they said something, or reading into things too much. And as Black Sheep, we have had to do that. We've had to wait for those little physical cues, those little emotional cues, those little like silent energy shifts that teach us or that warn us that something is going to go terribly wrong. And so by you having to read someone else's emotions and read energy and really be so attuned to all of that, it messes with us and it makes us hyper vigilant and hyper aware of every situation. So then you do look at little things and you read into them, or you look at things and just jump to the worst case scenario because you've been in that position so many times. But also, it's not an excuse, right? Like, being a black sheep and black sheep experience is about teaching you how we all get in our own way as black sheep, but ultimately the goal is to let go of those things. We have to understand them to let go, but we also can't let ourselves off the hook because we had a bad past or because we had a difficult childhood, right? Like, there's too many people in the world who don't hold themselves accountable to anything because they were slighted once. And like, that's not cool. That's not okay. That's not what it means to be a good community member or a good person. And so with you being so aware of the ways that you've been getting in your own way or holding yourself back, okay, I just got drawn to this Eight of Wands, and the idea that this is coming in quickly, or the lessons and the connections have been coming in very quickly. And that felt really important to kind of stop myself and say, you are coming to a rapid end, and there has to be just a reminder of like a check-in, right? This is like a check-in of you reminding yourself why it's so important to hold yourself accountable and why it's so important to be honest with yourself, because ultimately this is a part of your greater goal. Whatever your belief is in that you're doubting, or if it's yourself that you're doubting, you have to ultimately be so willing to look in the mirror and to let this stuff go, because your connection to the dream is bigger. By you recognizing the ways that you've been in your own way, or the ways that you've like stopped yourself from what it is that you want to accomplish, and really getting yourself like to that level or to that finish line or whatever it looks like for you. But the most important thing to remember here is the reason you are being shown these things is because you are on the way to reaching your goal. You have to go through these things and recognize these things very quickly, because you are accelerating towards creating the reality that you want to create. And again, for a lot of you, this is related to activism and the kind of world that you are building, or the kind of systems that you're tearing down. Like, a big feeling around like, I'm so empowered, I'm so impassioned, I'm so ready to do something, and then like doubting yourself, or doubting if anything's ever going to change, and finding yourself like constantly going back and forth between these energies. But the reason that all these things are coming to you and kind of laying on you like a burden right now is because your connection to the dream and your connection to what you want to create is so much stronger than all the stuff that's been in your way all of this time, right? And the reason that it's coming up now is not because you're more affected by it than ever. It's because this is your time, and the things coming up are a part of your journey in getting to the end goal. It's not like you are out of alignment with what you want to create, or you are, like out of your realm with what it is that you are empowered or impassioned to bring into this world. It's that this is the journey of that happening. The journey of you bringing the thing in means that you are going to have to confront all these things about yourself, but that means it's working. And that means that by you walking away from all these things that used to hold you back, these doubts and these thoughts and these limitations and limiting beliefs, like all of those things, you are courageous enough to walk away from them because there is a bigger safety net to catch you, and that dream is your safety net. And so there's a really interesting flip happening here, where previously the safety net was like the connection to, I'm so broken, I'm so lost, I'm so confused, I'm not supported, I'm not tethered to anything, right? And there was like a feeling of this kind of like, I'm just like feeling like caving in, right? Like there's this feeling of woe is me constantly, but that was like almost like something that carried you through and gave yourself like an excuse to not take yourself seriously in a way. And you've been growing out of that for so long. And so part of you, you're like, why am I back here again? Why am I going through all this stuff again? And like I said, the last few months, we've been cycling and cycling and cycling in rapid speed, all of these like all of these limitations that we have and all of these things that are like we're purging, right? We're bringing it out, but it's coming out because the dream is bigger and we're closer to our dream than we are to the things tethering us down. And that's why they're coming up so much, is because we're finally cutting the cord with so many of these limitations, and at least understanding what they look like and what they feel like, and having the desire to leave them behind and choosing actions that are opposite of those beliefs. And by doing that over and over and over, which you already have been, you are moving away from those tethered thoughts and feelings and moving closer to your dream. So you are actually not further away. You are right where you need to be. You are right on time. And I had some cards come up as well, but I wanted to ask a question and then I started shuffling before I ask a question. So, oh my God, wait. This is the answer. Okay, I was thinking, what are we moving away from and what are we moving to? And I knew I was going to ask that question in this reading, but I didn't like see it. And then when the cards came out, and they came out like these two together and then these two together. So now it actually kind of makes perfect sense, because we were already talking about like watching your shoulder, right? And being so close to this finish line, but then feeling so exhausted, feeling all this stuff that you've done catch up to you and feeling it almost call you back, right? And it feels like there's like a stronger identity pull where you're almost like re-identifying with these parts of yourself that you know you are so far outgrown, but they're like clawing at you deeper and deeper because you're so close to being done with them. And so that's where I'm seeing like this nine of wands energy come up. You are looking behind your shoulder almost as if that old identity is going to save you, but you're actually looking over your shoulder because it's your final goodbye. You're saying goodbye to all the coping mechanisms that did protect you, all the ways that you did hold yourself and help yourself survive through all the darkness that you've been through. But that, and this Eight of Swords too, talking about like trust, right? And this kind of reminds me of that example that I just gave of jumping to conclusions and like feeling so tied up and feeling like there's nowhere to go. I'm so stuck. I'm so held down. But you have a way out and you are finding that way out. Right? You have been on the journey of like untangling yourself from this mess and taking the blindfold off. Again, the clarity that I talked about earlier in the message, that coming through. So you've been like unbinding yourself and taking the blindfold off. And now you're looking around to see like, oh, I'm free. I'm out of here. But you're moving away from this energy of constantly asking yourself why you're working so hard and constantly being right on the edge of something and then backing away, or looking behind your shoulder and being drawn back to something from the past. And you're also moving away from this energy of like feeling almost intentionally stuck, or feeling like you don't want to be stuck, but also it's too bold to put yourself out there. It's too bold to actually be untethered. And so you'd rather be tethered to these negative things because at least it gives you some sort of identity. At least it gives you some sort of connection. At least it keeps you stable in some way. But at the same time, you've gotten so sick of that. You've gotten so sick of being in the same place. Like you're so over it. And that's why this is what you're moving towards, the Hanged Man and the Magician. And both of these cards, first of all, like both major arcana, like this is such a big cycle and we can feel it. We can all feel this shift, and like on so many levels, there's a shift happening, right? In every way, in every way on earth, there's shifts happening and we can all feel it. But this is also like a massive personal evolution for you as well, where you are learning. Well, actually, I want to talk about the Magician first, where you are learning how to put yourself back in the front seat in the way that this is like the number one connects so much again to starting a new cycle, right? It's not just any major arcana card, it's the Magician. And so there's a connection here again to and your intuition and to knowing yourself. And this like infinity sign is really like, I'm seeing the crown and the crown being highlighted. And I think that's because you are, again, that clarity and that awareness of your patterns. And then also like the heart space and your desire to change. The Magician is also an alchemist, and they have all their tools right in front of them. They have this ability to balance the different tools that they have. And also just like seeing this arm and how, like, I'm really drawn to like how powerful this person's stance is. And so, seeing them, like, I'm almost getting that that's the intention, that's the determination that's now showing back up. And for so long, like, this card and this energy and what this is embodying is so different than this is, I'm stuck, and this is, my arm is out and I'm going for what I want. I'm going for what I want to create. I want to make this, so like, I'm going to make this happen. And this is, I don't know, like, when is someone going to come by and help me? When is someone going to come by and help me? When is someone going to save me? Why do I have to deal with this, and how long? Right? And this says, like, I decide how long. I decide when I'm going to put an end to this, and I already have, and I'm starting something new because I see that on the horizon. And actually, that, like, the idea of seeing something on the horizon made me picture this card and how, like, you've been walking away for a while. You have been, and you know that. And it feels like I'm seeing like tectonic plates like shifting, right? It feels like the ground underneath you is moving, but it's actually the final shift. Like, I'm seeing like tectonic plates moving and you're on one side, or like the shift is happening right under you, and that's what helps you make the leap. So this shift and this friction is actually what's been coming up for you. It's the constant, like, I'm cycling through all of these limitations. I'm cycling through all of this doubt. All of this crap keeps coming up. And I feel like myself 10 years ago. You may have even said that to yourself. Like, why am I having these thoughts that I haven't had since I was like 21? Like, what is going on? Or something like that, where maybe you've been talking to a friend or just thinking in your head, like, this feels so foreign, or maybe even like random nostalgic memories coming back to you from a certain time in your life that like aren't even necessarily bad, but like you feel yourself drawn to this energy of yourself from the past. I'm even seeing someone like stumble upon an old memory box, or like a box under their bed of like memories or old photos or something like that, and like having this kind of like weird, unexpected like trip down memory lane. I'm seeing someone drive past their childhood home. So maybe like things like this have been happening to you, where like random instances of the past are coming back. And it's just, again, that shift, that friction of being like, oh my God, I have changed so much. Oh my God, like, look at all that's happened around me and within me. And while I feel partially sucked back to the past, like, I'm so disconnected from that person. And it's not that you're judging your past self or anything. It's just that you're different. You've reinvented yourself, right? And so this is a major, major energy of you understanding the tools that you have, and you having enough determination to see past the how. And that's a big piece of it, because so much of that doubt comes up for us when we don't know how it's going to happen, when we don't know how we're going to accomplish our dream, or get the funds that we need to, or make the changes that we want to see, or go up against this massive beast that we're fighting with, or even how we're going to separate ourselves from all of our connections and all of our support system and all of our family. While they may not be healthy, they're still there, and they've been there your whole life, right? So even that shift of like, how am I going to separate this? How am I going to figure this out and start a new life? Like, those are the things that have been coming up, but you have the tools and you have the determination and you have more connection to the future than you do to the past. And this last card, the Hanged Man, this is actually very connected to this card as well. A shift in this energy of, I'm working so hard. When is it going to be over? When am I going to get the thing? And for a lot of you, I feel like there's actually been a massive shift of like, for so long, Spirit has been telling you to rest. Spirit has been telling you to enjoy yourself more, or like, and not even to avoid your dream or to not do it, but it's just like balance, right? I'm seeing the Temperance card in my mind. So having this idea of balance is something that you've been getting getting intuitive nudges to do for so long, but it has been so hard for you to, I'm hearing, put the laptop down, or put the to-do list in your head down and actually take a step back and like give yourself a break, give yourself a rest. And part of your identity has been attached to, I'm so hardworking, I'm going to work harder than everyone else, I'm going to do, and that's not bad, but there has to be a sense of balance there, or else it's just a fast track to burnout. And so having this energy come up of like, I'm almost there, but I'm exhausted and I'm frustrated, and I almost like don't even see the point anymore because I've been doing so much for so long. And how can I carry all this weight? And how can I even manage this anymore, turning into the hanged man, where you're just like going with the flow. And again, this doesn't mean, like, this could mean that you are organized. This could mean that you have systems in place that actually help you go with the flow more. Because if you're not scrambling every time you're trying to create something new or organize something or put an event together or whatever it is, the easier it's going to be for you to enjoy more time resting, and then just know exactly what you need to do and when, and give yourself the rest of your time to enjoy yourself. But there's been like a resistance to that because, again, like I'm like the lack of clarity in all of these cards. Like I'm hearing unclear systems, I'm hearing disorganized, I'm hearing like rushing. So much of your energy has been spent rushing and going from one thing to the next. And I heavily relate to this, where like you're the script in your mind is, I'm busy, I'm hardworking, I'm overworked, I'm doing so much. But then again, there's that disconnect of, but I'm not being seen, I'm not getting my point across, I'm not communicating in the way that I want to, I'm not getting everything that I want, but I'm working so hard. And so there's this shift happening where you are being guided to go with the flow more. You're being guided to rest more, which is a form of self-respect. You are being guided to allow your intuition. And again, the crown came up earlier, and this light around his crown as well, this feeling of, I'm enlightened and I'm powerful in the present moment to make the decisions that I need to make. And that is what is also allowing me to see beyond the how, see beyond how it's all going to fall into place, and stop looking at the limitations, or stop focusing on the lack of what I have, the lack of meeting my goal, the lack of support that I see, and instead think about what I'm capable of doing. And again, in the last reading that I did, I kept getting this image of like a chain link, and that's what I'm seeing now too. But I think I didn't mention this in my last reading, and so it's coming up again for me, and it's really important to mention this idea of like, you'll get a little bit at a time. And so I'm also seeing like a train, and like all the cars of a train. It's like, you have been waiting to see the whole picture. You've been waiting to see how everything falls into place before you take that leap. Again, that tectonic shift imagery is coming back. So the shift is happening, so you have to jump. So you have to get to safe ground, and that jump you're going to make is forward. You're not going to jump backwards. You're not going to say, whoa, let me jump to safety. You're going to say, I'm coming forward. I'm jumping to what I can see, what is in front of me. And that's the shift that's happening now. You were so set on, I need to see the whole picture. I need to know how it's going to work. And for a lot of you who are intuitive, or also pull cards yourself, or maybe whatever your language is with the universe, or your form of divination, or your form of connection to your intuition, to your ancestors, you've been asking them like, tell me more, like, what am I supposed to do? And while they will help you with what you're supposed to do right now, they are purposely blocking the big picture, because the point of this is that you are supposed to trust, and you are supposed to build this a little bit at a time, and the resources and the people and the support is going to come your way, but you have to be on the journey. And that's what's interesting again about this magician. Like I talked about the cycle ending and a major new cycle beginning. This is you kind of like starting a new chapter, but within the same journey, or like something like that, where yes, you might still have the same goal as you had all these years ago, or you may have like the overall, same big picture that you had before, but there's a new approach in it. The cycle is starting over in you doing it. And so for some of you, this may have meant things falling apart, like I'm hearing bands falling apart, or some sort of like art group falling apart, or some sort of like Something where like a connection to other people, or a big part of your dream, or something that you saw as like fundamental, kind of disintegrating. I'm seeing like styrofoam disintegrate for some reason. um and so it just feels like it's like you're you just got so confused because you're like, I've been working on this for so long, and now the thing that I was depending on is not there. But it's not there for you to be able to stop trusting in that thing and to trust in yourself instead. Stop trusting in the earth ground to hold you, and trust in your ability to take the leap, because you are strong enough and you are capable, and you do have the foresight, and you do have the intuition in the present moment, but it has to be from where you are now. You can't see what's going to happen and base your decisions off of that, because that is the opposite of trust. That is the opposite of belief in yourself. And this journey ultimately is about you believing in yourself and believing in what you're doing, believing in your legacy, or what you're leaving the world with, or what it is that you stand for, or what your art is meant to convey. You are creating and sharing so much of yourself, but you can't limit that, and you can't base that off of external circumstances that tell you what decision to make and when. So this is a practice in trust, but you are doing such a good job. And again, like I said before, you are right where you need to be. So this was a lot. I don't want this to get too long, so I'm going to wrap this reading up here, but I really hope that this served you and helped fill your cup a little bit. If you want a reading from me, I have readings available on my website and self-worth coaching sessions available on my website as well. All of these sessions for June, for the last half of June, are now open and are according to my schedule. So you can book at blacksheepexperience.com, and don't forget to follow Becoming Enough, my podcast. I have a couple of really good episodes there, also about self-doubt, but in a way that I've never done before. So I'm really excited to share those with you, and you get to see like a lot of my self-doubt coming up and me being really open and like honest about that. So I'm actually nervous, but very excited to share that too. So if you connect to the theme of self-doubt, I highly recommend following along and listening to those episodes as they come out soon. And with that being said, remember that you are worthy, whether you believe it or not. I love you.